All right. We're going to start this weekend's media availabilities ahead of the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium. We're now joined by Ryan Blaney, driver of the number 12 Ford Mustang, and Chase Elliott, driver of the number 9 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet. We're going to jump straight into questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll do our best to get a mic to you. We'll start with Greg, and then we'll go to Lee.
Hey guys. I got a question, obviously, about here what your initial feelings are about what you've seen so far with the modifieds. But I also want to ask Ryan about Ford came out with a modified, an all-electric race car this week that is a little closer. I'd like to get your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess talking first about being here, I ran here 20 years ago or so in Bandolero, so it's nice to be back. I think obviously the reputation of this place, a lot of passionate people around the area that love Bowman Gray and track that's really historic. And, I think it's a good race for this clash, right? You have the ability to move this race around to different parts of the country. So that's nice. And Ford launch party, a couple nights ago, they announced some really cool stuff, from, whether it's EV, different series that they kind of want to peek into, some really neat stuff on the horizon there. And I think that's a lot of, just Jim Farley wanting to be a part of everything, So I think it's neat to be a part of a company like that that's always wanting to, spread their wings even more than they already are. So I'm excited to see where that goes at some point. Hopefully I get to drive it at some point. That'd be nice.
Lee Spencers.
I raced here in K&N, which was, I'm sure like a lot of the guys in the garage now, that was, 12, 15 years ago or something. Obviously been a long time ago now. A lot of racing since then. I don't remember a ton about it, to be honest with you. I remember, it was a big deal when we did that back then, but I can't sit here and tell you that I remember a ton. I remember the first time I came up here, we had a dead battery in our car, and every time we stopped, I couldn't get it started back up, so I was ready to forget that night. So I think I did successfully forget most of that one, and I think the second trip went about just as good as that. So I hope this one goes a little better this go around.
Go Lee and then John.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. Ryan, did you feel like, even though it was Bandoleros, did you have some bragging rights going back to grade school or middle school after winning that race?
I had a lot of, I grew up in High Point, so kind of this triad area. And so I had a lot of friends and family that came here a lot, on the weekends. And I had some buddies that were at that race. And they thought it was pretty cool that, hey, you ran at Bowman Gray. I watched you at Bowman Gray. And you're just a kid. You're like, oh, yeah, that was awesome. And, back then in a Bandolero, this place is massive, right? And it's just funny putting into perspective of what you don't know. And now this is the smallest place we go to with what we do. But, it was just neat to run there back then and just kind of be overwhelmed by the people, right? That was the most people you ever raced in front of at that age. And you saw the passion I got. I was getting shot to bird by kids younger than me when I was 10. So that was, it's like, okay, this is what this place is about. The people like you or not. And I don't even think they didn't like me. I'm 10 years old. What's not to like about a 10-year-old? They just did what their parents were doing. And that part was pretty funny to me. So I'm sure you'll see a lot of that tomorrow night.
Would winning here then, even though you don't live in the High Point area anymore, would there still be the bragging rights that accompanies that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be, right, I mean, this is, right, it's an exhibition race, it's the Clash, but you're still wanting to win it, and you want to win at neat places, historical places like this. Those guys who won at the Coliseum, that's a really historic place. I mean, you can say that I won at the Coliseum in L.A., and here's the same way. So, I think to be able to have that title would be pretty cool. And like I said, it has home ties to me, so that's another thing that I think would be special.
Jennifer Fryer, AP. I apologize, I'm asking two off-topic questions looking ahead. First, your guys' thoughts on the new rule that allows an elite driver in the field. How do you guys feel about that?
Like Elliott?
Like Elliott.
Yeah. I mean, I might be biased. I love Elliott. So I was psyched when it was like, okay, he's running the 500. Oh, and he's locked in. It's great for Elliott, because he was Indy cars when I was over there at Penske for a while before he moved on. So I love Elliott, and I'm happy that I'm going to be able to race against him because I loved growing up watching him run Indy cars. And then to get to be a semi-teammate, drive for the same guy for a long time with Roger. So I didn't really have any thoughts about it, to be honest with you. I was just excited that Elliott was going to be running the 500.
So you have to. I'm not super familiar. So he's in the race, but it could be anyone else too.
Well, anyone can apply 90 days out.
Oh, okay.
But NASCAR decides which guy gets it ahead of it.
Oh, so they've already decided
They've already
that
decided
it's him.
it's Elliott.
I mean, I can see both sides of the fence, right? Like when you look at
Like, what if Verstappen wants to come and Hamilton wants to come?
and they decided
And
late.
NASCAR's got to pick between the two,
Well, if they already decided, then I guess they're going to have to qualify in, right?
I guess.
You know, I don't know. I think that I can argue both sides of the fence, right? You would hate to have a, Helio Castroneves or a Max Verstappen or a Lewis Hamilton or someone come in to run a race and then miss the show due to something silly. So I can certainly see that aspect of it from a promoter side of things, where you wouldn't want to risk that because that's obviously going to be a big deal for you. But I also think that with prestigious races, there should be, some sort of integrity with making the show. I think that's part of what makes the race prestigious, is it's a hard event to make. I think you see that with the Indianapolis 500. You see that with the, probably a bad example with the Chili Bowl, right? It's a hard race to make. It's a big deal just to get in the show. So I can see both sides of the fence there. I think it's totally fine. I don't want to ever degrade or hurt our long-term integrity as a sport and take the prestige out of events that should be, some of our biggest days of the year.
And my second question is, Daytona and Talladega are not raced the way Martinsville is. Rules got changed after Martinsville because of the way that the racing was at the end. You guys met with NASCAR on Wednesday. Do you guys feel like you understand how you're allowed to race at Daytona coming up?
I have not been briefed yet, so this is the easy answer for me. I wasn't at the meeting, so I think that at the end of the day, obviously that they didn't like how some of the things went on, and look, it's their playground, and I think the best thing I can do as a competitor is try to respect that the best I can, and at the end of the day, there's always going to be teammates and alliances and so on and so forth. I'm not sure how you ever totally take that out of the equation, but from my standpoint, I think just from when you simplify it as a competitor, you always want to try to be the best and do the best you can for your team. So that's kind of how I've always looked at it, and we'll certainly as a company and as a manufacturer try to stay within the lines that they set for us and respect the rules that they put in place. I think that's all we can do.
Yeah, I agree with Chase on that, and it's tough, right? What is race manipulation and what is working together as a team, like at a super speedway, right?
Can you manipulate a race at Daytona?
You could, if you have 4 cars, maybe you run 4 wide, but that's over the top. You have to somewhat you have to be what is logical racing. Like us and the Wood Brothers, we try to find each other and get lined up because we can go forward. That is obviously just your plan, and that's racing. But if you're trying to 3-4 wide it, block a track, that's ridiculous, right? So there's judgment calls, I think, but at the end of the day, this all that stuff I think it's been some weird occasions that it's gotten really blown out of proportion. Some more egregious than others, like the Martinsville thing. But the speedway stuff, I don't think you're going to see anything that egregious, right? You're not going to see people running 4 wide to stop a track up, and that's just stupid. At 200 miles an hour, you're going to hurt people. So, yeah. But I'm happy that NASCAR cracked down on it. You have to have penalties for this stuff if it's that kind of egregious. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Good, Jordan, and then Jeff.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. 2 questions from me. Start first on the Clash. We're in LA. Now we're here at the Coliseum. Looking ahead, where would you guys like to see this race go to, and what would you like to see out of this race going forward?
Yeah, you went first last time. I'll go first. Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier. Like, this is a perfect race. You have a chance to move it around, go to different parts of the country, maybe even outside of the USA, to give a different part of the, an area and a fan base something to watch, right? NASCAR and Cup cars in general. And where I would like to see it, I mean, I really don't have a preference. Like, I was fine with the Coliseum. I was fine with it here. Like, I don't really have any preference or reservations about going anywhere. So, for a while it was at Daytona at the, the Speedway, and everyone was upset that we were wrecking too many cars, but now we probably wreck just as many cars. So, but yeah, I really don't care. I mean, wherever you want to take it, that you can get a lot of eyes on it, I think it's fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything you can do. I kind of like Ryan's thought of potentially getting outside the the United States, and I know we're kind of testing the waters a little bit with the Mexico City thing this year, but I think the real test would be going overseas, and this race would be a good opportunity to do something like that wouldn't be committing to a points race somewhere like a long ways away. So I like the idea of using it as a potential stepping stone to help grow the sport. And I almost feel like if we're not going to do that, I'm not even sure that it's totally necessary, either. I do think it's a good opportunity to shake things down and kind of get in the groove, but we just ran, a month and a half ago. It wasn't that long ago, either. So I think for me, I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying I think everything's on the table, and I'd be good either way, whether it's here, Daytona, if they want to do it in Europe, if they want to not do it at all. I'd be fine with any of the above.
And then kind of from a broader perspective, how would you guys assess the state of the sport coming off of controversial filled playoffs and now starting up a new season?
The state of the sport?
Yeah, just the overall health of the sport and the direction it's headed.
Well, I mean, that's a very broad question. And I think, Kyle's excited about it. He's back there in the back corner. He's fist pumping. He really was. But no, look, I actually think things are in an okay place. When I look at just the state of the sport, generally speaking, I think that, the leadership group at NASCAR right now has been open to more change over the past 3 or 4 years than I think it probably ever changed, in the prior 30 before that. So I think that there's got to be some appreciation for the willingness that they've had to go and try new things. And also, with that being said, does that mean all of those things are going to be good? No, they're not. And I think as long as we're willing to say that some of the stuff hasn't been good, then it's fine. I think we can move forward and grow from it. So I see a lot of logical things. I know this is really small. But them teching these race cars at the Charlotte Motor Speedway before we drug them up here, very logical thing to do. Really nice, great for the teams. Somebody was really thinking with that. So little things that I think make things better, like that being an example, are all positive, and I hope we can continue to go in a good direction.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Chase. I think the sport, I mean, he and I have been around the sport watching our dads run it for a long time. And, I think, like he said, I mean, they've been making some, decisions and changing some stuff up that the most they've ever have, and in a positive way. A lot of people crap on it for some reason, the sport and decisions that, NASCAR makes. And it's like, why? I really don't understand why people take a dump on decisions that these guys and girls are making. Because I haven't really seen many that are bad. Like, everyone has their opinion, and that's fine. But every time I look at social media, they're just like, oh, my God, it's terrible right now. It's in an awful spot. And it's like, why is that? I really don't understand. As a competitor, I don't think it is. I think it's great right now. So I do think it's in a good place. Not everything's going to be a home run on, things that NASCAR does or whatever. But I really think it is moving in a positive direction. And it has been for, years, I think.
Hit Jeff over here.
Hey guys, NASCAR decided not to change the playoffs for this year, but indicated that they're going to take a hard look at it over the course of the season to possibly change it next year. What are your guys' thoughts on them not changing it? And do you want to see changes going forward? And Chase, if you feel like you're normal, like, you know, it's not your deal, then save your breath. It's fine, but just have to ask anyway.
I mean, I'm open to change. You know, it's been this way for, this will be the 11th year of this format with the way the playoffs are. So, yeah, I mean, I'm open to change, whether you go back to I really don't care either way. If it's a full season points thing, if you have somewhat of a chase format, you know, whether you're 10 races to the end of the season, whether you're 5 races to the end of the season, I don't know, but I'm open to anything, honestly. So I'm not going to go into all the changes I'd like to see made or what I think, but I know there's been discussions with NASCAR, like drivers and stuff. We've been talking to NASCAR of ideas, and they just, you know, didn't do anything for this year, but I know they're seriously thinking about it and trying to make it, you know, very entertaining and you know, kind of give people a little bit something different. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an extremely important decision, kind of going to Jordan's question, just to stay the sport. I'm not sure that there's a more important decision we could make and just how we crown our champion every year and making sure that, you know, we're not ever, you know, doing that the wrong way or taking away from what that means. I just think, you know, long term, whatever decision that they want to make or whatever decision that they do make, I just want it to make sure that, kind of what we were alluding to earlier, that the sport is getting better and that these prestigious moments are always prestigious and that we're never taking away from that. Because that, to me, is part of what makes it still special and so on and so forth. So I'm with Ryan, though. I don't, as a competitor, I really don't care, you know, what they decide to do. At the end of the day, when they set the rules and you come out and they say, hey, look, this is the path and this is how it's supposed to work, then I think you just have to respect that. That's not any competitor's fault at that juncture. That's the rule that they make, and if you win it in that format, then you are the rightful champion. You know, I hate that there's been questions that have taken away from Joey. You know, it seems like, you know, over the winter, people asking me about it, and you know, I hate that because it's not his fault. You know, he just did the best he could with the format that he was handed, and he did better than everybody else, you know. So I just, you know, long term want to make sure that we're doing the right things to not ever take away from that in a very general, broad, you know, perspective.
All right, y'all. Appreciate the time and good luck this weekend.
Thanks.